Hi, I'm Izzy. Welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to talk about some of my five-star reads so far this year. So I haven't had that many. I think I've had maybe like about maybe six five-star reads so far this year. And that's actually pretty low for me. I'm usually like getting a lot of good books by this point of the year. But I think I've just been in a little bit of a reading slump. Nothing's just like really jumped out at me in the past month and a half. And so I need to deep dive and I think change what I'm reading. I think that's what it is. I'm in romance books all of the time. I think I need to switch it up a bit, but you guys might see a video about that later. So let's start. Okay, so my first, most recent five star. So my most recent five star is Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. That was one of my like most anticipated reads of the year when she announced that book was coming out. So excited. I've been in love with the entire series she's done, beginning with Yours Truly. That was my top book last year. It touched me so much. I loved it. And so when she announced this one, I was so excited because it was a continuation on the people we already knew. And so I deep dived into it. It was good. I think I anticipated it too much, which I think is the problem we have nowadays. That I was like, it's going to be this, it's going to be this. And I got to it and I was like, oh, I still liked it a lot. I thought it was beautiful writing and it touched a lot of deep subjects like about grief and about like how family can affect us. But I did not get what I thought I was going to get from it, is what I should say. But I really liked it. I gave it a 5 stars. I thought the relationship between the two characters was really sweet. I loved the mailman character. He was so sweet. He was trying everything to make this relationship work. But at the same time, I was like, throughout the entire book, I was really thinking she was going to make them not end up together. I was like, so they're just not going to end up together, is what I'm getting. And I got about 60% through the book, and I was like, if these two people do not end up together, I'm about to DNF this because I could not imagine you putting me through all of this. Him arriving when she's leaving, the back and forth, the misconnections. I was like, this is too much for me. I didn't know what I wanted from it, but it was too stressful. I didn't know I was about to be walking into a stressful book. I still thought it was really beautiful in the way they spoke about each other and how like the mailman character really tried everything to be there for her and in the ways they needed. And it wasn't like an insta love situation. It was just like understanding each other. And I thought that was really beautiful. Um so I gave it a 5 star. I definitely would recommend it. Obviously 5 star rating. And I would reread it. I don't think it's my favorite of hers. I have like a lot of other favorites. Just for the Summer is Just for Summer and Yours Truly are my top two of her books. And so this probably lands like around 3 or 4. Um, Next book. This is the one that I thought Say You'll Remember Me. This was the vibe I got, but this is what I thought Say You'll Remember Me was going to be. Promise Me Sunshine by Cara Bastone. That might be one of my top 5 reads of this year. That was so beautiful. The way that she wrote grief was just so gut wrenching, but so realistic in the way that you just, how do you move forward from this? How do you keep someone, how do you remember someone without being sad or like not being able to move forward? And I thought the way that she set up the book in that it wasn't entire, like the romance was secondary, the friendship was first. And I thought that was really important in that you like this person is going through like the most tough situation of their life and you're just like, oh, she meets someone, she falls in love. No, that's not how that happens in real life. They are going through some deep depth stuff, deep deep stuff, and then they can pull themselves out and then they can discover who's in front of them and stuff like that. And so I thought that was really beautiful. I've been a huge Cara Bastone fan ever since Ready or Not. I love her books. It's so beautiful, and this just solidified her as one of my top, as some of my top like romance authors. Um, the line that the male main character said when, no, the female main character said that he pulled her out of the depths of like hell, and I was like, why? It was so beautiful. Or like staying with her on the ferry when she didn't want to go home, or them getting matching tattoos. Okay, when he explained why he just shuts his eyes sometimes, it's not that he's sleeping, but that he's trying to memorize the moment. I was like, okay, so unrealistic expectations risen. Um, like that was just so beautiful. And I think that's what like made the book so amazing. It was all the touching moments throughout it that built upon each other to make the romance. It wasn't, oh, like we're going on a date here, we're going on a date there. It's all these little moments where they start understanding and connecting with each other that I thought was beautiful. Okay, so what's the next one? Oh my god. Am I ready for this? I don't know. The next one I read was Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. That book, that book, that was heart-wrenching. I don't know why I did this to myself, but I had spring break kind of off. I was working for the beginning of it. I'm an RA, so I was working for the beginning of it. And so I decided to read finish the Throne of Glass series, but like restart it. I had only read like up until book 4, and so I had like reread it because it was like 6 years ago, and then finished the series. And so I read a book every other day and finished them every other day. I read like the entire series in a week. Gut wrenching. It was extremely stressful. So why I decided the week later to read Sunrise on the Reaping directly afterwards, after I was already emotionally spent, I don't know. And I have it right behind me. It was so like she's one of my top, not even just romance authors, just top authors I have ever read. The way she can write something that makes me question, like, who are we as a society? What are we doing? And how have I become the capital while reading this? And what's she trying to tell us? Because I'm like, first of all, you're giving this to us in a quarter quell year in the state of our current world. And so I knew she was trying to tell us something. And, you know, she went out there and decided to make us sob and cry. And I would like to say, I did like a few Tom Blythe edits, so I am part of the problem. I am part of the problem, but I always knew that Snow was terrible. I never thought, oh, he's redeemable. There were a few edits that really were just like trying to convince you, and you were like, wait, is he actually a hero? No, he's actually completely terrible. And this book just like solidified it in that you are in us as a society reading these books, we're unreliable narrators. We don't know. If you accept everything that you're being given to read, you're going to think this person's amazing too. And so I thought that was really, her use of like the idea of propaganda was crazy. The use of like her signs that they're doing in these different games and how they are showing them, it was so touching. And like, don't use my tears for entertainment. The entire point of the book was to show us that like, we don't need any more games books. First of all, we don't need any more, because it's just going to keep telling us the same thing that we should get with this one. Each one of them is the most gut-wrenching and horrifying thing that these people can go through. It's not for entertainment. This is not for entertainment. The book is reading is for entertainment, but this book is to wake us up and as an education. It is not for entertainment. And so looking at this as like a reader who's read the entire series and like understanding the first 3 books, we were lied to, but we weren't lied to. Katniss was just an unreliable narrator, and she didn't know what she didn't know. And so keeping that in mind while reading the book, you're just like, well, is anything true? What don't we know? What don't we know? And so it was really interesting getting to read that. And then also just all of the lore drops. What was she thinking? Did she want me crying every 10 pages? Burdock. We met her mother. We met, oh my god, Lenore Dove. That broke me. The fact that she's probably related to the Covey, and then Burdock's related to the Covey, and then Katniss. I just saw a TikTok recently that's explained. I'm like, for some reason, my brain never connected like Katniss, catnip, the plant. Burdock, I think, is a plant too, and then Primrose is a plant, and so it just solidifies the Covey connection. And I was like, the things you don't know until you know, and also those TikTok sleuths will explain the book better than I can read it. So that was amazing, and I just broke. That book broke me. I finished that book like in the morning. I couldn't sleep. Like I had to wake up and like read it. And then I just sat in silence for like an hour sobbing. If I think about it too deeply, I'll start crying. Just because I don't want to make this completely spoiler like review about this book, so I'm just gonna keep it kind of like vague overview. But it was just, there's no words. There is no words for this woman's writing, and I am not prepared to see this on screen. I think that's what like makes reading this so much worse, because like you finish it and you're like, this was the most gut-wrenching thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm about to see this on screen, and it will make it so much fucking worse. Sorry, so much worse. And so that was a book. That was a book. On to my next top 5-star read. That one was the last one of the Throne of Glass series, Kingdom of Ash. And so, like I said, I read every single one of them back to back for an entire week. It was like watching an entire season of Game of Thrones in a week. It was amazing. Like I literally looked up and I was like, I don't know where I am. Like I'm so deep in this book. And so I gave all the other ones I gave like 4.5s. I use Fable, so I can do like half a points. But I gave the last one 5 stars because of the way they broke this up. I was like, I need this all to wrap together. I need this all to work out. Not everything worked out. Also, spoiler alert. My gripe with this book, one gripe with this book. How come she couldn't keep her powers? That was so annoying to me. I'm like, after everything you, Elena, did to this girl, and you don't let her keep her powers? I was like, no, there's no justification for what those people did. I'm like, excuse me? She was in a prison camp, and you're not gonna let her keep these powers? I was really annoyed. And then I'm like, anyways, that was my one gripe. I'm like, what do you mean she doesn't get to keep these powers? The way that end scene, that last fight scene, would have been if she had those powers. Anyways, you wishes, it turned out the way it was supposed to. But I really loved that book, and the detailing that I saw throughout all the books, and I heard someone say this, it's all about tiny acts of kindness. All of these tiny acts of kindness led her to where she was able to go, and it saved their entire world. And so I think that's really important. I think that's like one of the main details that I can get out of her books and like themes, is that any tiny act of kindness can change someone's entire outlook on life, the way they view people. It is pretty crazy. And so that was my 5-star for the Throne of Glass series. Another 5-star, these last two 5 stars are from one of my top new favorite romance authors, Mariana Zapatas. I discovered her books this year. I am obsessed. Her ability, like I don't need a lot of spice in my books. I want yearning. I am a Pride and Prejudice girl to my core. That was my first movie as a kid, and I have like a leather-bound copy. I have so many copies of this book. It is like 2005 version, Pride and Prejudice, to be specific. But the use of yearning in her books, like you can, like they don't even like start acting like they like each other until like past the 50% point. And that is perfect. Like you have to like build it up It's not like I do not like insta love. I like look around, I'm like, how did this happen? Like, did I miss something? And so I really like how she uses in her books just like slow, like small little things where they start noticing each other or they start noticing they like each other. It's so cute. And so the first one that I rated 5 stars was From Luke Off with Love. As a girly who loved the Spinning Out series on Netflix, this was perfect. This was absolutely perfect. The way they canceled that in 2020 will still break my heart. I also love the Canadian ice skaters that won, I think it was in 2016, but the like skating duo. And so this was also just like perfect for me. And so it was so sweet reading this book and like the way they interacted with each other and like we kind like I think going into it I knew the guy was gonna like her before like she knew he liked her. And so it was like sweet seeing like her slowly start realizing. And so I also thought it was like interesting in the fact that as like an athlete how you view your family or how your family can sometimes view your sport. And so my sister did competitive tennis her entire life, and so that really like shaped like where I went or like what we did. And so just like seeing that from like the player's perspective was really interesting too for me. The next one that I read, the first Mariana Zapata's book that I picked up was Wait for It, and I gave that a 5 star. That was so sweet. I love them. Like her ability to build off the small moments, like I said, is so sweet. And like the detailing, like, okay, they met at baseball practice, they're across the street from each other. Like the tiny things she discovers about him. Also, his name is Dallas. I was like, that's so cute. And like, I've never met anyone whose name is Dallas. So, also, all of her books are based in Texas, and she's not even from Texas. So I thought that was really interesting. I liked it. I'm based in Texas, so I thought it was cool. Um, but like the sweet moments that Dallas has, and he's just like, "Yeah, I'll help," and she's like, "You really don't have to. You like really don't have to." Every single time, and I thought it was really cute. And so those are my 5 star reads so far this year. Hopefully, I have a bunch of them. I feel like I ended up last year with maybe 10, maybe over that. And so I'm really not that far off, but I hope I read some more like really good ones. And there's a lot of books coming out in the next few months. So it's probably likely that I'll have a few other 5 stars. I still haven't read the new Emily Henry book, so that could be a 5 star depending. But yeah, currently I'm just getting out of my reading slump, as I said. Whenever I get into like a reading slump, I just go back into Kindle Unlimited books, which is my first love, but is also so difficult to get out of. Because once you start, I'm really into the romance thriller books by Claire Kinsley and then Kathleen Cowles. I'm so deep into those books that it's just like one after the other. I'm like, I gotta know what happens to this next brother. Even if the book is terrible, even if they're specifically with Kathleen Cowles books, I cannot stand the nicknames. That it's just the most cringe. I cringe so heavily whenever I see the nicknames. And so like I'll be reading it and I'm like 50% through and I'm like, why am I still reading this? And then I'll pick up the next book. Because I just need something to read, even if I have nothing that's like engaging me. And so hopefully I can pull myself out of this, pick up another book, and just dive in. I just don't know what to read. I might have to go to Barnes and Noble and just go deep dive into some books and see what's out there, which you guys might see in a video. But yeah, thanks so much for listening to this. Like and subscribe. I'm going to be trying to post like once or twice a week from here on out. And welcome to Izzy Ever After.